to understand you, bro.
And don't be afraid to fail. Be afraid not to try.
There has never been more opportunity in this world than there is right fucking now because of technology.
Make up your mind that fear is not going to stop you from doing the thing you really want to do. Step out and do it today.
When your friends or other family aren't around, you may get tested with the other side that's out here that you've never seen.
So I'm sitting with my buddy who works with me, and I'm always asking for reassurance. I'm like, is this okay? Is this okay? Like, this is going way too smooth. Like, it can't be like this.
Strange, man.
It's time to get back to work. Stop hearing yourself talk. Get off the podcast. Don't be on social media too much. Cut out all the fucking noise. Get back to the fucking mental lab.
The most dangerous thing in the world. You can't get comfortable, bro. Once you get comfortable, you start losing yourself. You feel me? You start losing the hunger, you start losing the drive. Once you lose that, it's game over.
This dude said, there's a moment when every boy realizes no one's coming to save him. And that's when he becomes a man. And some boys never get there and stay children forever.
I don't drink. I don't have a social life. I don't go to parties. I don't go get DUIs at clubs. I don't molest my dog. Like, I train, I sleep, I train, I ride motorcycles and shoot guns. Like, I'm a pretty simple guy.
And at the end of the day, when you're old and have grandkids and chilling in your life, you're the culmination of everything you've accomplished, but also how you accomplished it and how you reacted to it. What's the big picture? What do you want to become?
And the proper amount is the amount that gets you off your ass and gets you executing. Because if you are executing day in and day out, no matter what, there is not a single fucking thing that can stop you.
I think now people will start believing.
I don't give a shit what people say. I never did, I never do. I told you before if I was the shit, and I'm telling you right now I'm the shit. What people say does not matter to me, because whatever you do in life, good or bad, there's always going to be somebody. You know what I mean? So I don't give a shit.
If you don't fail, you're not even trying. I'll say it again. If you don't fail, you're not even trying. My wife told me this great expression. To get something you never had, you have to do something you never did.
You know, a lot of times you don't have to force yourself to take action. It's the days that you don't feel like doing nothing when you got to do something the most. It's the days where you don't feel like doing nothing, where you got to get up and do something the most. The most. Those days count more. Those days matter more.
Is that, you know, we raise our kids to go in a structured form. Follow this and you can get most of what you want in life. And that can work. But what do we really want our kids to do? We want them to follow that and then bust out of it one day and not even ask our permission. And that's when we're going, that's my boy, that's my girl, that's my child.
I give you the map. You are willing to do that?
Yeah.
It's the main point, because everyone wants to be Cristiano, but I give you the map. You think you will do it that? It's difficult. It's
the discipline.
The discipline is the most difficult thing, not only in sports, but in life.
You're never going to be good at first, you know? You have to get over yourself. You have to understand that you have to look like a fool in the beginning in order to become a master later, and just get over yourself, understand that nobody actually really cares. People are going to hate you regardless whether you're the best person or the worst person in the room. Just do your thing, make your money, level up, take care of your family, and live your life, bro.
We define leverage as the difference between what you put in and what you get out. So if you have a lot of leverage, you put a little bit in, you get a lot out. If you have no leverage or low leverage, you put a lot in, you get a little bit out. And a lot of times people who are listening to this and are not making as much money as they want, they're putting lots of input in and not getting a lot out. They have low leverage opportunities. And so understanding how to get more for what you put in is the game overall.
Yeah. I don't care how good you are in anything. You don't have discipline, you ain't nobody.
Right.
You're nothing without discipline, because you give up under the slightest struggle without discipline.
100%.
I mean, discipline is doing what you hate to do, but do it like you love it.
Doing what you hate to do, but do it like you love it. That is a great quote. And if you can do that, you can be successful in anything.
You know, you normally are.
Success is the only revenge. He's like, it's not the best revenge. He's like, it's the only one. There's no other revenge. Because everything else is petty. Everything else does show that you were thinking about these people all day long, which means they win by default. He's like, all you can do is think about your goal and winning. He's like, and when you win, that's when you become so big that they shrink into irrelevance. You cast a shadow that no one even can see them behind you.
The biggest advice I could give you right now, the biggest advice that anybody could give you, and this is not my words, Woody Allen told me this, I said, Woody, what's the secret to success? He said, 85 to 90% of life is just showing up. Show up. If you show up, there's a chance something could happen.
So you can do two things. You can run and fucking hide, curl up in a ball, and let the world just fucking beat you to death. Or you can dig your fucking heels in. You figure out how to, you have to figure out yourself, and then you dig in and you fight. I literally, the day we got back from Mexico, I had a quote installed on my wall. It says, "May God have mercy upon my enemies, because I won't." So let's fucking go. When you think about, I'm 54 years old right now, like that. I mean, it just fucking flew by. Yeah. And you think when you're young that you have all this time, you have no time. There's no time. I mean, one of the quotes on the wall in the gym in there is, there is no tomorrow, from Rocky III. There is no tomorrow. Fuck that shit. Let's get all this shit done today.
When you had that third failure in a row, did you think, I need to pack this in?
Never.
Why not?
I don't ever give up.
There are people who've been in the rocketry business for decades who say about you that you don't know what you don't know.
Well, I suppose that's true of anyone. How can anyone know what they don't know?
But when critics say you can't do this, your answer to them is,
we've done it.
Modern men who are angry at a world they feel has rejected them mistakenly believe that they would have somehow done better in medieval times. They are adamant that the chance of them being Genghis Khan is greater than the chance of them being cannon fodder peasant number 1,373,000 whose favela was sacked and destroyed. And it's this wistfulness for the past. And dude, I get it. Like, if you feel lost and alone and like nobody understands you and like you've been forgotten and things shouldn't be this way, guess what? They've always been this way. And right now, the bar has never been set lower.
Going into combat, going into war, out of the 100 men that go into war, 10 shouldn't even fucking be there. 80 of them are just targets. 9 do most of the fighting. 1 is a warrior. And it's a true quote to life. I saw it going through training. I saw it everywhere I went. There's so many people who just show up to life that shouldn't even fucking be around. And there's few people who do all the work. I wanted to be part of that 9, and I'm working towards being that 1.
There was a shift, like when someone is really getting after it in their life and you're around them, there's a shift in your own life, and it's a tangible thing. It's like if you could see it on a meter, it's almost like your meter goes up and you feel it, but you don't quantify. It's not something you put on a scale. It's not something you'd see on a meter, but it's real, and you got to believe it's real and know it's real. And when you're doing this, when you're putting out this audiobook and even these conversations that you put out, when people know what you've accomplished and you put these conversations out, it's so valuable.
If you see this version of the world, there you go. I can impact my acts. I can learn a thing, apply a thing, and then hightail with a byproduct of doing that. As soon as you take those steps, you realize almost all of the people around you who have parts of their life that they're not happy about are kind of making a choice for it to be that way. Now, it may be an uninformed or an ignorant choice because they haven't taken said pill. And then you go, oh fuck, that means that all of the things I don't like about me and I don't like about my life are my responsibility, because I can change it.
Shut off your phones, shut off all technology, find a dark, quiet place for you to think. You have to think first. And then when you think, you have to think, okay, what's my purpose in life? From your purpose, now you found, okay, I found my purpose. What are my goals now? Okay, you find your goals. Now you gotta sit down and plan. How am I gonna accomplish these goals? Then from there, the hardest part is you have to put the action in. And that's where everybody fails, is the action part. But you have to quiet the noise. The world's moving too fast right now. You have to stop it and say, what am I all about and where am I going? But it takes
nobody cares. At the end of the day, nobody cares. What we're going through, how your body feels, nobody cares. We gotta do our job. And we emphasize that to each other again today. Hey, I got your back, you got mine, nobody cares, man, we gotta go. And before practice, during practice, after practice. You know, we're always just trying to push whoever's listening. That is it fair? No, because I want to have emotions about things. I want to think about things as a human being. You know, football is secondary when something like this happens. You know, we're talking about lives, and you know, a lot of different lives and a lot of different situations. But for us, from a football aspect, our mindset is we're going to be ready to play. That's for sure.
When you're trying to build confidence about something you're afraid of, being exposed to the fear helps you overcome that. But actively choosing to take that fear on head on is actually what it takes. I can't throw a spider at you and you're not afraid of spiders, but you choosing in your own mind to actively go to that spider by yourself makes you actually grow from it. So you choosing to take power of what little you can when you're feeling like, when everything's crumbling around you and you feel powerless and helpless, well, what can you take control of? You can take control of opening your door and letting that, embracing that, you know, leaning into that hard time. Like, I'm going to choose to feel this. It's here. I didn't choose that, but I'm going to choose to feel it. And I have power over the choice of what I feel. And then you take your power back and you can build your confidence from there.
I think one of my favorite parables about work is that there was an art class. They split the class into two groups. And one group, they said, make the absolute best pot and turn it in one pot. And the other group, they said, make as many pots as you possibly can. At the end of the semester, the team that had to make as many pots as humanly possible not only made more pots, but also ended up making better pots than the one that spent all of their time trying to make one. I think a lot of people need that permission to have a lot of shitty first drafts in order to start working harder on anything. But that's not how I operate. Because for me, I would rather spend a lot more time on my first draft so I don't have to make so many more edits. If you do it the right way, you realize how many hours you're gonna have to put into something. And usually most people that I feel like haven't done that level of effort confront the work and then they get scared about it. I have to find a different way. This can't actually be how people do this. That is how you do it.
So like patience, for example. Most goals are attainable if you expand the time horizon, even enormous ones. Like you can do anything in 10 years.
You could walk to the moon.
There you go. You can do anything. And so for me, I would say, a naturally impatient person. Like I tend to want things immediately now. And you know what? You probably are too. But once I defined patience as figuring out what to do in the meantime, it allowed me to control what I did. Because now, like you and I are being patient for your stock investments. Right now, as we're on this podcast, we're being patient for that because we're doing things in the meantime. And so whenever I felt impatient and wanted to change course, I had to just redefine what do I need to do today. And if you are sad and impatient, then it means that right now you need to learn what the option is that you need to go pursue. And then that makes it very much under your control.
No matter what anybody else says, you can hear the best speech, you could take the best program, you could go to the 12-hour seminar and jump around and say, hey, I'm a different person. It's always gonna come down to the two things that it comes down to for everybody. One, you have to become the kind of person that can push through the hard times. Most people can't do that. Most people cannot push through the challenging, the draining, the frustrating times that make everybody else quit. And every time you push through one of these barriers, you're leaving all of your competition behind and you're moving forward without that. And most people can't do that. So you have to build yourself into someone who has the discipline, the fortitude, the grit, the perseverance to push through the hard times, to become someone who is literally fucking incapable of quitting.
So Carl Jung said, people nudge you to try as hard as you can. So whenever you're going to be successful, you know, you're going to look forward to the next challenge. So now you may think, oh, what will make me very happy in the future is this big milestone. If I reach this milestone, that's it. You know, I won't need very much to do much better than that. And what happens is that, let's say you work very hard and you reach the milestone. And then suddenly you say, okay, that was good. But what next? You know, like you're going to start looking further ahead. Like what's the next milestone? Like if you think that being millionaire is what will make you happy, well, the sad story is that when you reach the million, the first million or 2 million, whatever, you'll feel good, but you'll start thinking about the next thing. So your system of happiness will keep pushing.
Find something. Find a thing that you genuinely enjoy, because getting good at things you genuinely enjoy is extremely beneficial for young people, because it lets you know that, like, everybody thinks they're a loser. Every young person thinks they're a loser. At least a young person in the situation I was at Like, I didn't know I wasn't a loser until I started winning, until I started doing martial arts. Martial arts taught me that, like, I could get better at stuff, that I wasn't really a loser. I just was someone who was like in a fucked up situation. But you could channel all that energy that you have as a young person into something and get better at it. And then all of a sudden people admired me. I was like, this is crazy. So I went from being someone who was incredibly insecure and basically a failure to someone who was really successful at this one thing that was very dangerous, that other people were scared of. And that gave me immense confidence and also a real understanding of the direct correlation between hard work and success.
You can move through life at 7 times the rate of other people by simply changing when you say you're going to make a decision from end of week to end of day. So think about how that stacks up. So it's like, let's say that there were 4 decisions that you needed to make. If the normal person takes a week to make the decision, and then their mind moves on to the next thing that they have anxiety for and start making that decision and decide another week, decide another week, decide another week. It's a month to make those 4 decisions. Whereas the Superman that takes one decision day 1, second decision day 2, third decision day 3, fourth decision day 4, they aren't even finished the week yet, and they're where the other person is at the end of the month. And like that speed of decision making, like not paying the attention cost, the opportunity cost of your time, I think it's really profound in terms of how quickly people move through life, in terms of achieving the goals that they set out. Because people are like, how is that guy so young and he's achieved X, Y, and Z? It's like, well, what takes you a month to make a decision, we make in an hour. And then the next hour, I make another decision that takes you your next month. And so like, that's how you can go 30 times or 100 times faster than the quote average person who's overweight, has $1,000 in their bank account, and is going to die at 70.
Are you choosing to consume false simulations of someone's life on TikTok, compare yourself to it and think you're not doing enough? Or are you choosing to live in the real world, having conversation with good people who are being realistic and taking risks? Or are you choosing to be around negative people or positive people? Every single day you choose who you surround yourself with, you choose what you do. You're in control a lot more than you believe you are. And I think people like to get caught up in routine and norm and feeling obligated to their old friends, their family, or this or that, staying kind of where they are. But pushing yourself out of that sometimes is exactly what you need, and I think it's just scary to change sometimes. But the concept of living life is just so simple. You could take the words "live your life" and expand on that into a million-page essay and just do it. But just getting out there and living and experiencing life, and doing the things that are difficult and challenging and cause you to grow and to, if you think of the person that I envy the most and I enjoy being around the most, is just that like old wise man who has all these crazy stories, who's lived all this life and is just like happy to sit on the park bench and talk to random people about what he's done. If that's a person I respect, how do I become that person? It's not from doing nothing, it's from doing something.
You might not reach the best version of yourself in this lifetime, but a better one than you are right now. The main point is to find something that you are not standing still where you are right now. At least prepare yourself slowly, step by step, to get out of that hole right now. And I think there are so many different approaches also out there. I can only tell you the one that is working for us over here. But you have other people that you have also talked to in the past. I think if there is something in common when it comes to people that are not living in these holes, there's a reason why you are not in that hole. Because you have figured out another way of how dealing with this world. Your view has become already a little bit more clear about how things are functioning here. And as long as you are blaming others, this is the number one.
Mentally tough up here. If you guys mentally believe you can do it, your body will find a way physically to make it happen. If you are short up here, it doesn't matter what you do with these guys, it will never materialize into anything. No dream will ever become a reality. You guys have got to believe in yourself, headstrong, mentally tough. It's the only way through the bullshit here in life. Winners, the difference between them and the spectators is that the winners have a belief that overrides the crowd's disbelief every single time. Their belief is so strong, even though they hit failure, they get knocked on the ass, they're finding the intestinal fortitude to stand back up again, face that same challenge, learning from the previous mistakes, and make it happen. Winners fail a million times. What makes them a winner is that they believe in it, they're headstrong. Nothing's gonna stop them. The spectators have tried it and failed it and remain sitting down. They don't get up anymore because they don't believe it enough. The naysayers' disbelief overrides their ability, potential, and mental capacity that they can be more than that. Champions life are headstrong. You come in here headstrong for this workout. It's gonna take everything. This is madness. This is a super fucking psycho workout. But if you have it up here, and you go through it out there, guys, you will leave here not only physically dominating, but mentally unstoppable. It all starts today, if you're ready to transform.
We have these things where we become, in a way, ready to enter the world much later, and it takes a lot of time to achieve leadership positions and high position, etc. So you need a lot of investment. You need to work hard at school when you're 15. You need to work hard in early position when you're 25, etc. to invest to be successful. I mean, if you want to be successful, I say you need is if you want to be successful. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, this requires a lot of postponing of enjoyment. Maybe less video games, less eating nice stuff, and less holidays and more. And so I don't think we have necessarily this is a big challenge we face, and a lot of unhappiness that we observe I think comes from this tension, is that the world offers us a lot of ways of being happy now. You know, you have at the click of a button, you have, in fact, like for young boys, like a lot of video games, it takes a lot of their time, etc. And it's designed by psychologists to be exactly tapping into the stuff which is pretend status, which they like and they enjoy, etc. So you have all that. But then you ask people later, are you happy with your life? Well, the problem is that all these very nice things that you do in the short term and that you have been seduced to do in the short term, they have not led you to maybe go the steps where for you to progress in life. And so you have this mismatch between what you said, you know, this feeling for meaning and this feeling for pleasure. And in a way, the problem of the modern world is that it has designed so much appealing things which are pleasurable in the present, and we want to buy them, but it has increased the time horizon that we face and increasing the importance of waiting further.
Workout's done, you paid your fucking due. You're that much closer to becoming that person you always knew you could be. I mean, isn't it about time you do that? Isn't it about time you become that person you knew you always could be? How do you do that? You break the fucking mold, guys. You get the fuck out of bed when it's cold, when it's early. You do something away from the normality of what you've been doing. That's psychotic behavior. Doing the same thing, expecting a different result doesn't work that way. You must switch up the mainframe. Switch it up if you want a different result, man. Why not try it, man? Shock the system. Start with an earthquake, man. What I mean by that is, yeah, get up at 4 in the fucking morning one day. Just one day. And go for a fucking run. Commit to one day. And see how you feel. As you're jogging it back in around 5 or something. As your neighbors are still asleep. Or as you're jogging it back in at 6 o'clock. And your neighbor's just getting up, grabbing the coffee, looking outside, wondering, you know, what the day's gonna hold for them. Well, your day's already provided something for you. You see how that works? Mentally, you feel like, wow, man, that was fucking alive. And then you go about your day at work and your coworkers like, who the fuck, what happened to old Greg, man? Who's this? That's right. The new motherfucker's here to stay. And get the fucking on my plan or get the fuck out of my way. That's how you run it, man. But you won't get to know what I'm talking about, man. You can't look at a picture of something of Hawaii and feel the cool breeze and the warm water. You gotta be there, man. You can't talk it all the time. You gotta walk it. Commit to one day. Try it. See how it feels. Getting up that fucking early when everyone else is asleep. Or when it's that cold. When everybody else says, no, this is not comfortable. We shouldn't do this. You say, yes, motherfucker, I'm gonna introduce myself to it. And who that person is, we don't know. Who could it be? It's exciting, man. Because the way you feel after that, as exhausted or as how, unpleasant as the experience might be, the after effect on how prideful you feel, man. Now, that's something you're either going to love or not. And if you love it, dude, you're on your journey to something magical. So that's the end of the shoulder shrug superset S-cubed. Shoulder shredded superset workout. Coming to you, GregPlitt.com. Will help you stay fit and eliminate competition, external competition, as well as interior competition. That's the biggest block for most people, is that they get in their own way. You come here and hit the gym, hit hard like we just did. Don't tell me you don't leave with a little bit higher stock value on yourself, Take that into your next day. It grows and grows. Start achieving things you didn't think were possible. Small things add to big things. Adds up to a good life. Start giving back. Start being a role model to other people. See them progress and transform themselves and overcome obstacles. Yeah, man, that's what it's all about, man. Anyway, Greg Plitt, help you stay fit. Have fun with that workout. I'm out. We're all wrapped up here. Remember I said the sun was going down? Well, it's down. It's to bed. The sun is gone till tomorrow morning. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna go home and slam our protein within that 45-minute window, man. We're gonna feed our muscles and put our muscles in bed too, so they wake up in the morning even stronger, ready for the next day, ready to come in and kill it again, improve every single day, guys. So this is a little saying I live on, and I think you guys should try to incorporate this too. My question to you is, what makes for a good day? Huh? Think about that for a second. I'll tell you what my thing is. What makes for a good day for me is that I go to bed that day a little bit sharper mentally and physically than when I woke up that morning. If I can go to bed stronger mentally and physically than when I woke up that morning, and I can combine that day with another day and another day to make a good week, to a good month, to a good year, there's nothing out there I can't control. Nothing out there I can't overcome. Nothing out there I cannot become. It's all within the space between these two hands, between these two ears. So, it's up to you, man. Everyone has one life to live. How do you want to be remembered by? It's your call. Anyway, I'm tired. I'm going to bed. Greg Plitt, help me stay fit.
I think one of the themes of your worldview that I've become familiar with is alchemizing bad times into good ones. A reminder that things that seem bad can end up being good. And in retrospect, I think it's obvious and almost romantic to think about that alchemy in that way. But in the moment, it's basically impossible. How can people, or how do you have more of that perspective during a hard time?
Well, look, a couple things. First off, I probably start off intellectualizing something that I know I probably should believe in but don't believe in it, and convince myself, even to an extent to trick myself, that, to sit here and go, well, you just tell yourself, this too shall pass. Okay, great. Well, what the hell's that mean? Even if it's true. In the moment, you're like, what are you fucking talking about, man? I'm in the debit section. I'm in a warning section. This sucks. I think that how much I'm conscious of it or not, my undeniable optimism and faith that this isn't all it is. And if it is, so what? That's okay. Well, then really, so what? You know what I mean? What's the big deal? Two, it minimizes, I seem to have a tendency not to make a bigger deal out of things that other people make a bigger deal. Dramas. I don't like to create false drama. When it comes and it's hard, I am affected. I get the blues, I get sad, I get mad. I'm a shit to be around. I can't get to sleep. I got demons in my own head trying to work the riddle out. Why did this happen? That's the other thing that's tough for me, is I think that any bad thing that happens to me, my initial reaction is, well, what'd you do wrong to lead to this? Like in a relationship. Camilla and I get in an argument. My mind immediately goes, well, what'd you do in the last 2 weeks to let this get to a point where you just had to raise your voice, or she had to raise her voice at you. Usually there's some P's and Q's that were not handled to get to that point. So I like it when things are running like this. The challenge when things are running great is we all tend to think, aha, this is it. I've found it. Bottle it. If I realize this, I can maintain this forever. And the truth is bullshit. No, we can't. But we can minimize it. There are habits that I notice of things I take care of in my life, health-wise, faith-wise, father-wise, husband-wise, that I know that if I'm doing that consistently, there's less valleys. There's less stress. There's less warning signs. There's less problematic, oh shit, how do we get in this? So there's consistently behaviors that I know I can act upon that have worked in the past.
Do we habituate less to certain things? Are there any categories of accumulation that we have in our life that we seem to be a little bit more resilient to this adaptation?
So look, it's a very good question. So habituation, once you reach a certain level of a comfortable life, which should be, lower middle class in the US, anything better, what you observe is that people think they will be much more happy or much happier if they get more. And actually, you don't. So happiness doesn't increase much. It does increase within the country. And one likely reason is because within the country, you're able to compare yourself to others. So what we observe is that this doesn't increase between countries. So you take Americans now, overall, for instance, and you look at the number of people who say they are happy or moderately happy. It's the same number as 1949. Now think about, all the things that happened since 1949. People have fridges, they have like color TV, etc. They have internet. Things that whenever it happens, people say it's amazing, it's fantastic. But when you ask now, they don't feel happier. And that's something you see in most countries, that when you look at countries, apart from the very poor countries, which, they get sanitation, they get water, etc. If you're from a lower middle income country to a rich country, it's very flat. Happiness is very flat. So that is true. Nonetheless, at the bottom end, there are things which can, improve life satisfaction. So if you move from being homeless to having a house, that improves in the long term your life satisfaction.
That kind of locks it in a more permanent way.
Yeah. So one thing which is possible is that your hedonic signals. If you think about the modern life that we are living, when we have food on the table, when we have sanitations, water, etc., that's a good life. I mean, our ancestors didn't have that. So we are in the range of the good life, which in a way, the basic signal that we can get, we can still learn that we can do better, but we're already doing very well relative to the kind of things that our ancestors were doing. But if you are in a life where, your life is threatened because you don't have a home, your health is threatened because you don't have access to good food or protection, etc., that may still give you signals that, that's not good from an evolution point of view. So I think there's something where...
that's so interesting. So much of what we're doing with habituation in lower to developed nations is chasing down better standards of living, but not removing ourselves from things that could be mortal threats to us. And maybe our brain is able to detect, okay, you don't always have food on the table. You don't always have a safe place to sleep. You don't always have reliable water or whatever.
Yeah.
And if you get out from that, you lock in a particular... So the bottom levels of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I've always thought this about the issues that many of us face. Am I actualizing my logos forward? Is this really me reaching my eudaimonia and making the most of my brief time? It's like, hey, dude, an existential crisis is a pretty fucking luxurious position to be in for all of human history until 200 years ago. People were terrified of whether they'd make it to the next day. They thought that they were going to get smited from above by a lightning bolt because they'd masturbated last night or whatever it might be. They're just on this permanent fearful world. And it's odd that, if you're asking yourself these deep questions about meaning, about fulfillment, about flourishing, about eudaimonia, about reaching your goals, it suggests to me that much of the stuff that really matters, you would absolutely miss if it wasn't there, has been sorted. And that's why you're up here. It is no comfort. I'm aware it's no comfort because we habituate. But I do think it's an important frame.